we have the electrical board layout. First off, we have some pneumatic components right here. We have the double stage solenoid, we have a single stage solenoid, the compressor, the pressure switch. And this is just an electrical board. You have the compressors over here, the pressure switch, the solenoids. The pressure switch goes to these two ports right here. The polarity doesn't matter. The compressor goes over here. It says compressor power, and polarity does matter in this instance. The pneumatic solenoid right here, those go to the ports labeled 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those can be programmed with the Rio that you can. Now first off, we have the power connections. The battery connects to the breaker, which connects to the PDP. All power connections do in some way lead to the PDP. PDP also powers the VRM and the PCM at the bottom of the PDP. Always use a fuse for the connections, otherwise it won't work on the PDP. The radio, network switch / MAC bridge, any LEDs that will always be on, the camera power, they all connect to the VRM. So here you can see IP camera that connects to your VRM. This connects to your VRM right here, and then data connections. All data connections are in some way connected to the RoboRio. Talon motor controller uses CAN wires to receive and output data. CAN is wired in series. CAN starts at the Rio, goes to the components in the series, requires a 10 kilo ohm resistor, which is built into the PDP. That's where the green and yellow ports are on the PDP. And then also Ethernet connects from the Rio to the switch / the bridge that connects to the radio, an IP camera, and possibly a Raspberry Pi if you're using vision tracking. The other types of data transfer are PWM, DIO, and analog. So you can see here that you have Spark motor controllers. Those are PWM. You have your Talon SRX that goes to the CAN loop starting at the Rio, going around to all of your components in series, and then leading back to the PDP. And then that's how CAN works. And servos are PWM. This is your gyro, which is going to be analog. You have digital sensor, which would be DIO. So motors must have a motor controller. That could be a Talon, Victor, Spark. Now, motor controllers connect to power by connecting directly to the PDP. Motor controller data connections use CAN, and Victors and Spark use PWM. So you can see, as I mentioned before, Talons go through CAN, and they get powered directly from these ports on the PDP, which require the fuses in these holes right here. And then you have the Spark motor controllers that is powered from the board and requires PWM. And the motors themselves plug directly into your motor controller. The motor controllers can be programmed from the Rio. Random connections such as USB, like Microsoft Netcam, that connects to the USB port on the Rio. If you have a Raspberry Pi, that can also be connected with USB. RSL connects to, there's a port on the Rio that has two male leads, and that can be connected to female PWM connectors. And on the RSL itself, there's Two ports on either end labeled LA and LB. Those connect together because those are both the positive. And then there's also in the middle there's a ground. So that the ground connects to the ground on the Rio, and then the positive connects to LA and LB together in series on the light. Limit switches connect with DIO on the Rio. Potentiometers are analog, gyros are analog, VexPro spikes are PWM, and servos are connected via PWM. So here you have your servo PWM USB camera. That's a Microsoft LifeNet, and you see right here the RSL. You have the one positive on one side connects to the one positive on the other, and that can be traced back to the RSL port right here. You can see 5 volt and ground, and those connect respectively to their ports. So yeah, and then pneumatics, the compressor goes to the compressor port. Obviously, as I mentioned before, the pressure switch goes to the pressure switch port on the PCM. The two sides of the double solenoids go to 2 different ports on the PCM, and the data wires in the green and yellow area of the PCM are cans, so that goes to your series. And you can see, as I mentioned before, solenoids connect these ports. This side, since it's a double solenoid, this side would also connect to another port, but that's not shown in this diagram. As I said before, compressor, pressure switch, and then that's one component in your CAN series. And that's it.